I've recently picked up a new hobby of winding guitar pickups, and I'm gonna wind and wire up a set for my newest Stratocaster build. Before I jump into things, I do want to mention that all of the tools I use in this video will be linked in the caption below. Most of the links are affiliate links, and using them is a huge help to the channel. I got these pre-assembled bobbins online, which takes a lot of the learning curve out when it comes to winding. I will eventually learn to assemble my own, but I'm taking this one step at a time, and getting the wire onto the bobbin is a lot more gratifying to me than putting the bobbin together. At this point, I'd gotten the bobbin onto my winder, and I'm now inputting my wind settings. I had written notes prior to filming to make sure the pickups would work together as a set, planning out the number of winds, the wind direction, and wire gauge. I decided on 7,000 turns clockwise for the neck, 7,500 counterclockwise for the middle, and 8,000 clockwise for the bridge. I also made sure the spacing for my guides was correct. I used this string action gauge to help inset the guides slightly so that the coils would not bunch up on the ends. It took me a few tries to get this right, but that is also the theme of my pickup winding experience so far. Once the guides were set, I started up the wire on the bobbin. I strung the end through the collet a few times so that I would have a solid connection point to solder the leads onto later, and taped off the excess so that it wouldn't get in the way while winding. Here, I'm about 4,000 winds into my 7,000 wind pickup. This is my first time winding with 43 gauge wire, and is a bit thinner than the 42 that I'm used to. And I just broke the wire. It is always frustrating when this happens, and it happened to me about 3 times on the neck alone before I finally got all the way through. I did eventually concede and used 42 for the neck and middle pickups before using 43 for the bridge. This may have been a mistake on my end, but I learned best from doing. If the pickups sound awful and unbalanced, then I'll have my notes to refer to and know how to adjust on the next set. I'll also have a more tangible reason why to do things a certain way. Research can take me a long way, but nothing teaches me more effectively than the sting of a bad result after putting in so much time and effort. Plus, it makes the successful runs that much better when I sort of barrel through things on my own like this. Ideally, while winding, I would keep a slow and consistent back and forth motion with my hand while distributing the wire. I struggle to move slowly and smoothly, so I try to offset that as much as I can by having the bobbin spinning at full speed. It isn't a perfect solution, but I think it helps me some in getting my coils to lay nicely. I recently had a friend in my shop to show me some pointers on winding, and his hand was moving so slowly that it almost looked like it wasn't moving at all. Hopefully I can reach that level of control at some point, but until then, I'll just blame my shortcomings on my wrist surgeries. Speaking of shortcomings, this pickup could have definitely used some more wire on the bottom, but it's a long ways from my previous ones that were shaped like hourglasses. My next two will be progressively better, but I'm aiming for a nice symmetrical shape across the bobbin. And speaking of wrist surgeries, getting this wire through the collets is super hard for me because small motions like this are just so stressful on my hands. But I wrapped it through about 5 times again to give the leads a good contact point for soldering. I wired the ground to the start and the hot to the stop. Also, a general soldering tip is to make sure that you heat up all of the components while making a connection. Notice how the solder melts when touching the collet. That means that I'm getting a good connection because the solder is bonding the components instead of sort of just sticking them together. The process for the other two pickups is exactly the same thing, so I'm just going to time-lapse them before getting on to the next step. While this plays through, I also want to ask that if you're enjoying the video, then to please let me know by liking it and dropping a comment. It would also be pretty cool if you subscribe to the channel. Each subscription goes a long way towards helping me quit my day job so that I can spend more time working on guitars and making content like this. Now that I've repeated all of the steps for the first pickup on the last two, and made sure that they all have good readings, it's time to wax pot them. My process for this could be more precise, but so far it seems to get the job done. The goal is to leave the pickup submerged in the wax until the bubbles stop forming. When those bubbles stop, that's my sign that there's no more air left inside of the pickups because the wax has filled all of the voids. That wax will help to stabilize everything and keep any loose parts from moving around, resulting in a less noisy pickup. After a few minutes in the wax bath, I pull each pickup out and carefully wipe them down, taking care not to tug on any of the coils. I lightly soak up the excess wax with a shop towel and set them aside to cool before moving on to the install. The last step for these pickups is to get them magnetized. Right now, the poles are not magnetic, which means that if I get any output at all, it will be very poor. In order to fix that, I ran each pickup between two powerful magnets that I have mounted to my nut vise. After running each pickup through a few times, they were ready to go. I ran the neck and bridge to be south up and the middle to be north up. Running the pickups in alternate polarities helps to create some humbucking characteristics in the in-between positions on the guitar. To help a little bit more to cut out some of the unwanted sound, I also shielded the guitar cavity and the pickguard before installing the electronics. The people at Emerson Custom sent me this wiring harness to use in a project, and I thought this Strat build was a great candidate. This harness cuts out a lot of the time that I would usually spend getting everything pieced together, and it drops into the guard perfectly. It also has a fun mod to the traditional Stratocaster setup in that the second tone pot actually serves as a blender pot. When in the neck position, you can use it to blend in the bridge, and in the bridge position, it will blend in the neck. Even cooler is that in positions 2 and 4, you can use it to run all 3 pickups at once. That's a whole lot more tone options than you'll get from a standard Strat configuration. As with any harness, a little soldering is still needed. I went ahead and added all of the grounding points. I like to give each ground its own point for ease of removal in case of future modifications. Doing it this way also exposes the pot to less prolonged heat. It takes less heat to solder small points, assuming you give the pot time to cool between applications than it takes to do one giant solder blob. It is also easier to manage one point of connection at a time than it is to wrangle 5 wires at once. In order to keep things a little tidier under the hood, I cut the leads to leave just enough length for each one to slightly overreach its soldering point. Generally in a client's guitar, I would leave a little more lead just for assurance, but since this is my own guitar, and I'll likely rewind these pickups in the future when I'm better, I'm okay with snipping the wires pretty short. I also love using this vintage style pushback wire. It gives me plenty of room to solder without worrying about singeing the casing. I can expose as much of the lead as I need to get a clean solder and just butt the cloth up to the joint so that I don't leave anything open to unnecessary shorting. I want to give a huge thank you to everybody who made it this far into the video. I spend a lot of time filming and editing these and would love to be able to transition into doing this full time so that I can move on to bigger projects and spend more time editing better videos. Also a reminder that all of the supplies I used in this video will be linked in the description below. Using those links doesn't cost you anything, but if you do decide to purchase through them, a little bit of money gets kicked back to the page, which really helps me to make more content like this for all of you. If you liked this video, consider checking out the playlist of full-length videos on the screen now. If you don't have time for another full-length video, I also have a shorts playlist.